Rosemount Primary and Infant School in Linstead, St. Catherine has molded many minds during the 50 years it has been in operation. Among its outstanding graduates is Collington Powell, who started out as a slow learner but is now the holder of degrees and is a school principal extraordinaire.
I owe everything to my teachers at Rosemount College back then.
We'll also tell you about his journey back to Rosemount as a teacher for 11 years. Collington Powell is among the impressive success stories that have emerged out of Rosemount Primary and Infant School, which is celebrating its 50th year of existence. He transitioned from being a slow-learning boy to becoming the holder of degrees and one of the country's better-known principals. Powell credits his transformation to teachers he met at Rosemount Primary, formerly Rosemount All-Aid School in Linstead, St. Catherine.
They really were very, very pivotal in my development. Like I say, I was not the top performing student, but they never really gave up on me. They had multiple opportunities to give up, but they stood by me, they encouraged me, and they were there for me. So I owe everything to my teachers at Rosemount College back then. I had a young man this morning who we had some disciplinary challenges with, and I was telling him that I'm not giving up on him. I am not giving up on him, even though he might want me to give up on him. I am not. I'm insisting, because you don't know what you will become in the future. And growing up, I told him that I saw myself in him right now. I saw myself as that young man.
Powell was born almost a year after Rosemount Primary opened its doors in May 1973. He eventually enrolled at that institution because his parents relocated to Linstead. His younger brother, Dalton, later joined him there.
I was born in the Spanish Town Hospital almost 50 years ago. And I did about half a year at Crescent All Age then. Then my parents moved to Linstead, and they got me in Rosemount All Age at the time, now Rosemount Primary and Infant. In fact, it has gone through a few phases, because subsequent to being All Age, it became a primary and junior high school. So I would have done 5.5 years at Rosemount, and on the second attempt, I got placed at St. Jago High School, and then on to college and so on.
Powell, who also attended the then Micah College and the University of Technology, holds a bachelor's degree in education and a master's in educational leadership and management.
Growing up, I wanted to be so many things, and I can tell you, pilot, soldier, architect, you name it. Teaching was never ever one of them. I never dreamt of being a teacher growing up at any point, even in fifth form at high school. Teaching was never on my radar screen. So I tell people all the time, just be prepared for life, because you don't know where you will actually end up.
Powell's journey eventually took him back to Rosemount Primary and Infant School, but as a young teacher. His 11-year tenure as a teacher there commenced in 1997 under the school's second principal, Horace Buchanan. It was like returning home to find love and motivation after a long trip away.
Right after leaving college, I applied to Rosemount, very, very nervous as to whether I want to go back there to teach. I didn't even have a formal interview. The principal, Mr. Buchanan, just had a light conversation and said, come back Monday morning. And that was the extent of my interview. I guess that kind of proves that I was not a very bad student after all, because I would have been fresh in their minds. And I did 11.5 years there. You know, those were some really, really, really interesting times. I developed my craft as a teacher there through the instrumentality and the support of many of my teachers who taught me at Rosemount. They held my hands and said, come here, young man. I remember Miss Armstrong, for example, when she was acting, she said to me that, look here, you don't know how good you are, so I have to tell you and teach you. And she would ask me to assist with some of the administrative duties. Sometimes I would want to be hiding away when school dismisses, And she would, come here. And she would give me some stuff to do, administrative duties to work on, long before I thought about becoming a principal. So little did I know that I was being prepared, I was being groomed to become a principal. So the lesson I guess one could take from that is that you don't know where you'll end up. So any opportunity you get to learn, just grasp them with both hands. And you never know. No knowledge that you gain is really wasted. So that was my biggest takeaway from that experience at Rosemount. Over that time, I served as house leader, served on almost all the committees. I remember we had a Miss Rosemount. I headed that committee, teaching girls how to walk. And just so much fun back then. But I involved myself. That's really the point I'm making. I really involved myself in everything. New teachers came on, they thought I was a senior teacher because of how I just, I was actively involved in school life. And towards the last year or two, I became a senior teacher in my 10th year.
Rosemount Primary, on different occasions, prepared Powell to take on leadership, and he did.
After Rosemount, I went on to become principal at Mount Rossa Primary and Infant. And man, those were some glorious years. So I did 3.5 years at Mount Rossa Primary and Infant. After Mount Rossa, I migrated to Spanish Town to take up a post at Friendship Primary as principal also. And I did all of 11 years at Friendship. Looking at it now, time really flies because it feels like just yesterday. But I had a tremendous time there.
Powell is now on secondment for 2 years as interim principal at Ineswood High School in Spanish Town.
Here at Ineswood High, for the past 3 months, one could say, has been a very adventurous experience. I want to put it like that, very adventurous. Fortunately, I was not very far removed from the issues because in terms of proximity, it wasn't very far. Friendship is right up the road. So, pretty much you're aware of some of the issues. But clearly, being here on the ground now, having first-hand experience, you realize that it's a very challenging space, not one that is insurmountable at all. But we know that it will require some greater effort on the part of not just myself, but all the relevant stakeholders, whether internally or externally. The ministry has given a commitment to provide the requisite resources and support, and we are counting on them for that. So far, so good. We have a very supportive board. We have a very supportive staff complement for the most part. Students who can be transformed with some awareness of self and just some more attention, because that's really what many of them are crying out for. They are seeking attention. They lack that at home so much. Parents are not paying them any attention. Well, speaking generally, not everybody. The communities that they come from are very hostile and that sort of a thing. So here at school, we see ourselves as a safe haven where we can help with that transformation. So we are hopeful. Every day I'm seeing signs. Every day I'm seeing signs that we should be hopeful that we can transform this place and take it to another level.
Taking any school up to the next level requires strong and effective leadership.
Leadership, generally speaking, well, one of the authors I read quite a lot, John Maxwell, he makes it very clear that everything rises and falls with leadership. It's all about your ability to influence others towards changing in a positive direction. So education is no different. In fact, educational leadership is one of those unique things because not only do you have to be a great leader to get your institution to a place of excellence, but you have to also be a good manager. And that's what complicates the thing because you have to manage the resources, whether the human resources, the financial, the material resources, but you have to be able to motivate and inspire people. So educational leadership is something that I'm very passionate about because I believe that if people are not motivated and inspired and influenced, then irrespective of the quote-unquote raw materials that you get, your school will not move from one level to the next.
One of the school's leaders that has left a lasting impression on Powell's mind is the late Donald McNabb, the first principal of Rosemount Primary.
Mr. McNabb, for the most part, he lived on the school compound and the school cottage, and he was very, very powerful, very brilliant, very intelligent, very smart and sharp gentleman. I learned quite a few words from him back in the early days. And I remember, perhaps my biggest memory of Mr. McNabb, I would have been about grade 2 when he came to my class, coming on to Christmas holidays, and he was asking quite a number of questions. And back then, he would just visit classes liberally and ask questions and give away things. He wanted to give away some money, a lot of money, like 50 cents at the time. And he was asking who was Jesus' father. And everybody was saying, God, 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 God. I held up my hand as a child who my parents ensured I go to church. And I said, Joseph. And he made a big deal out of that. And he gave me $50. No, that was a lot. That was enough for me to calm my little brother and say, we're not going home for lunch today. Because we could buy some fried dumpling and some saltfish and some suck. And we had enough change to buy some asham after school and so on. So I have some very, very fond memories of Rosemount.
Powell, who maintains a close relationship with Rosemount Primary and Infant School, is pleased with the direction in which his alma mater is heading in its 50th year. It's being led by Malika Sinclair Bailey.
I see Rosemount evolving into one of those beacons, no pun intended, in the Linstead and the St. Catherine region. Has come a far way. Has changed a number of principals, and our current principal, she has been doing a tremendous job in just galvanizing that network and ensuring that this support from external stakeholders is paramount on her agenda. And I think she has a school at heart, and she's doing a fantastic job. And I'm really proud of the direction that the school is taking. I know the Past Student Association very, very active and involved. And without a doubt, the school is poised for great things.
Powell, a 2015 recipient of the Prime Minister's Medal of Appreciation for Education, is not only committed to his job as an educator, he is also a committed family man who has 2 sons and is married to Shernette Powell, who is principal of Point Hill Least Primary School.
My wife Shernette, she's also a principal. She works at Point Hill Primary School. We have 2 boys, 17 and 22. And they are holding their own as well. We are very proud of them. Outside of that, in fact, I tell people that husband and father are perhaps my 2 biggest titles. Outside that, any other title is secondary or even tertiary. But we are Christians. We are members of the Linstead Baptist Church. We are entrepreneurs as well, because we believe in balancing our lives to make people understand that a salary is awesome. It's good to have a 9 to 5, but there's so much more you can achieve outside of your 9 to 5 without cheating your 9 to 5 source. So we are network marketing professionals as well, and we are very proud of that. For the past 6 years, we have been building a network marketing business. And that has afforded us to not just earn supplemental income, but it has allowed us to grow so much as individuals based on the books that we get to read, the conferences we get to attend, both local and abroad, just a different association outside of education. So while education is awesome and we respect our principal colleagues and our teaching colleagues and so on, we get the chance to be a part of another association of entrepreneurs, people who are forward-thinking as well, people who understand that in order to grow anything, you have to grow yourself. So we also immerse ourselves in that environment too. So we have another life, as you put it, and we are very excited and proud of that fact.
Colin, as a father is one that ensures that his children are in the best of health, and he wishes to have them getting the best education. So he will always try to help them, whether with their homework. He teaches them social graces and etiquette, and he also wants them to be good citizens of Jamaica. That's one of the things that I admire about him. And as a husband, he's so protective of me as a person. He wants to see that I maximize my capacity in all that I do. He wants to ensure that I excel in every area of my life, and he continues to be a great support to me over the years as a husband and as a friend.
Powell's wife is also impressed with her husband's growth as an educator.
I think he is a great teacher, just how he loves his job. At times I will tell him that he loves school more than how he loves home, because he continues to stay out late to ensure that everything is okay. And when he sees a child, just the way that he interacts with that child, allow me to understand that he is very passionate, not just as a teacher, but as a principal. As a principal, I think he is what John Maxwell will call one of the pinnacle leaders, and he exhibits the level of professionalism that I think all principals should. In terms of how he goes about just exhibiting the leadership quality, I believe that other principals can also emulate what he does.
She further stated that Rosemount Primary and Infant School has remained dear to her husband's heart.
Of course, I know Rosemount Primary School because I live in Linstead for a very good time in my life. But just based on the stories my husband told me about Rosemount when he was a student there firstly, and then when he became a teacher there, I believe that Rosemount Primary and junior high at the time, when I know it, was the ground on which my husband just started to develop his leadership potential. And just out of all that happened to him there and his experiences, now he is the person he is today because of Rosemount Primary.
Her husband, in the meantime, advised the students to be disciplined in their quest for success.
I know as students now, you might not even realize and see the importance and the value of paying attention and listening to the sound advice of a teacher. It may sound like just chattings right now and Lord gosh, they're boring and all that. If that's how you feel, don't worry about it. I felt that way. Looking back now, life would have taught me that these were fundamental lessons that I was missing out on. In fact, I really believe in boys so much because what they achieve and how they perform will make or break this country. A few years ago, and that was suspended due to COVID and so on. But prior to COVID, I remember for about 2-3 years thereabout, I sponsored a trophy and a cash prize for the boy, the top boy in GSAT then. Or was it PEP? Or perhaps both. The top boy in mathematics. And that was purposefully chosen because at Rosemount, I was very, very weak in maths. In fact, I got the most plug-in for maths. So I was purposeful to award the top boy in mathematics. Because I believe that we are natural, we should be leaders. But those early leadership traits have to be developed from as young as early childhood, not least among them primary school.
On behalf of senior videographer Dean Alcott, I am Horace Mills reporting for Jamaica Beacon. This is a special production sponsored by the Rosemount Primary and Infant School Alumni Association, New York chapter.